The most important character coming out of Sweden for a long, long time in Swedish literature and film. I think that's the film's success. That's the book's success, and that's also the film's success. And I think, by the way, that Noomi Rapace does Lisbeth in a way that I would never have imagined could have happened. So I'm very proud of her.
Well, that she's an avenging angel, I think, fits in with the original sort of conception of the book. The title was never meant to be the woman who
the girl with the dragon.
The girl with the dragon too. It was different.
Yeah, this is a child that has many names. In Scandinavia, it's called Men Who Hates Women, or it's called Män som hatar kvinnor in Swedish, or Mænd der hader kvinder på dansk in Danish. And then it's in Germany, it's called Verblendung, which means blinded. I think so. And then in France, it's called Millennium le Film. But Spain and Italy dared to take the Scandinavian title, but I think the UK and US publishers thought that this title was too filmish for an American and UK audience, and I actually think they were right about that. So, but Larsson had this title in his contract, and he didn't want to. He didn't want to sign the contract if the publishers didn't sign that was the title for the first book, and that was non-negotiable. So this was something that was very, very important to him.
Why did it take so long to come here?
Why did from the airport?
No.
Because then I would like to talk a little bit about New York traffic and potholes.
First, as a book, it took a long time to germinate here, and then secondly, I want to ask you about the film, because the film is, the book is such a now phenomenon in the U.S. So you see how many people have read it. There's been a lot of eagerness and anticipation about this film. I can tell you that I've had a lot of people asking me about it, and yet U.S. film distributors were nervous about this film. They passed on it. This wasn't their first choice. What happened? Tell us the sort of businessy side of the story before we open it up to folks.
Well, first of all, foreign films in America is a very, very tough market. So the big distributors, I think, basically don't want to waste their time because they don't think that they're going to make much money. So it's a niche market, you could say. The thing about the book seems to have spread later into the English-speaking countries, but once it caught fire, it really has sold incredibly well. As you all know, I don't even know, it's been more than half a year on the bestseller list in New York Times and is still there. I think the second book is there on too now. The first book has sold, according to the publisher, whom I had dinner with a week ago, said that between 1.5 and 1.7 million books of the first book has gone out in the US alone, which makes it the most successful translated book in the United States in 30 years. And the only book to shoot to the top of the bestseller list for translated books in decades. So I think it's a tough game to come into America with culture from outside America, unfortunately. I think it was better in the 70s and possibly 80s, but for some reason it seemed like has closed up. But I can tell you there's a lot of expectation for this film to be the best-selling foreign film in a long time, basically since Crouching Tiger, I think their hopes is. But that did business that you cannot speak about. I did tremendous business here in US. But this I mean, of course the book is enormous phenomenon all over the world, but this film is also the best-selling film in EU last year, and has done $100 million in box office in Europe, and that has never happened for a Scandinavian film, I can tell you, in the history of film. So there's great hope, but I think that the reason why the film came here later is, of course, business. That the distributors want as many books out there floating around before they launch their campaign for this film. So that makes sense, but it has the consequence that I've been on the road with this film for a year now, and done 500 interviews. So it's taken a huge part of my life.
You've done a half a dozen films. One of them is a doc, another is a children's movie. Your first film, Portland, in 1996, established you on the Danish New Wave. It was about a rural gang, I guess. Then there was We Shall Overcome, which is one of the highest grossing Danish films ever. But this film came to you by way of the producer, who was really impassioned to make this. Søren Stermus?
Søren Stermose, very tough name to say, yeah.
He asked you to do it. What did he see in your